Hello, today let's talk about the zero tolerance 0456. I have to say right away that this is not a sensible choice for EDC. I mean, if you want a knife for everyday carry, it's good in the pocket and also good to use, this is not the best choice. If you remember my last video, Birka model EDC, compared to this knife, in size they are quite similar, I mean in length, but everything else is quite the opposite. So this would be a knife that makes perfect sense for EDC. This one not so much, but this one is a lot more fun to use. So today let's focus on the zero tolerance. It's designed by Dmitry Sinkevich, and if you want another ZT knife that's also designed by Dmitry Sinkevich, but that makes a lot more sense for EDC, here you go, the ZT 0450. A lot smaller, slimmer, lighter. So this one, if you want a titanium frame lock flipper by ZT for everyday carry, this is the way to go. Yeah, well, this, as I said, it's quite a lot of fun to use, but that doesn't mean that it's useless for everyday carry task. It's quite reasonably useful, but it could have been great. But here, I forgot to mention, on the left side is the 0560. It's quite a bit bigger. It's a monster compared to this one. The problem with this knife for everyday carry is that it's quite heavy. It's around 6.6 ounces, I think, or just under 190 grams. And here the Fox Raven is very close in weight compared to this, even though it's a bit bigger. So yeah, but this one is actually a bit heavier. When you compare the sizes, yeah, similar in size, very close in weight. Yeah, this is quite a heavy knife. But let's talk about the blade first. The blade, as you can see, has a very strange design with a lot of straight lines and edges. It's made out of CTS 204P, and this is my first knife in this steel. It's considered a super steel comparable to M390 or CPM 20 CB, so this will supposedly excellent, but I don't have it for a long time. I just got it for Christmas, so still have to see. I quite like the blade shape. It's quite broad and yeah, very decent design. But here you see the first problem, namely the blade stock here, especially in the back, is very, very thick. So when you look at this from this side, you would assume it's a great slicer, and it's quite okay, but it could have been great if this back portion was quite a lot thinner, and it would also help in the weight department. It would be a lot lighter. But as you go towards the tip, it gets a lot slimmer. And compare it to its little brother, you can see, let's put them side by side. You can see maybe, yeah, that the tip is quite okay actually. This, focus, yeah. It's not bad. And it has a swedge on top, so even though it's this hybrid sheepsfoot Warncliffe design, more for slicing, but due to this fine tip and the swedge, you could also use for penetrating cut. And another thing is here, due to this wide or broad blade and the flipper tab, which is not very long, You put it down here, you can see, or maybe I'll just compare it. Use this as a flat surface. And you put it like this, you can see that it's almost flush. Only a little bit here on the back of the blade is not in direct contact. So for a flipper, it's quite a good slicer. Because usually flippers have the flipper tabs when it's open around here, which prevents them from really good slicing. So I think it couldn't be any better, because otherwise the flipper tab would be too short. Because as you know, the flipper tab here, and you can see it's not sticking out that much actually. Oh yeah, and here for some legal aspects, it's flipper only open, so you have no thumb start or anything else, or a pinch grip that actually works, but you have to use a lot of force here in the stop section. But here on the bottom, due to the swedge, you cannot pinch grip to open it. It's very smooth, one of the smoothest knives I have. As you can see, runs on ball bearing system, and like almost all ZT knives, it's an excellent flipper, very smooth, and you can see that it opens with quite a lot of authority now compared to this smaller version. You can barely hear it, and whereas this, it's quite louder clunk sound when it opens. Okay, let's move on. The handles are extremely interesting, I find. Usually titanium framework flippers are quite common nowadays, and I have to admit they're quite often a bit boring. Just this grey surface, but this one, even though there's not much going on in terms of colors, except for a few parts, it looks quite interesting. So let's talk about the colorization first. There's this big pivot here in blue, and the back spacer again in blue, and the pocket clip. So on each side there's only one piece in blue, different tones of blue, I would say, that not the same. The pivot and the clip are similar, but the backspacer is a bit different. But it looks quite nice. It's not overloaded, but still interesting. And what makes it interesting is that it's the machining. There are quite a lot of... Here this surface is flat, but stonewashed. Then here we have small parallel lines, and here again, and all at different angles. And this makes it quite interesting to use or to play with in different lights. Let's try it out a bit here, adding a bit more light. Okay, so you can see the reflections differ depending on the angle. Okay, so yeah, it's quite an interesting design. This is why I liked it. So it's, even though it's not a perfect EDC knife, but it's so much fun due to this action, and also the looks, and the ergonomics are quite decent for its size. So again, similar to the 0450, this bottom diagonal section makes it quite comfortable even with bigger hands like mine. On the back section here you can see there's a frame lock insert. And now to the clip. It's not a deep carry pocket clip, as you can see, so it goes from here. And I think it doesn't have to be. You can see here on the 0450 I changed the clip. This is a customized clip because I specifically wanted a deep carry pocket clip. And it makes sense for this knife because it's meant to be used for EDC, so it's quite often in my pocket, and then a deep carry pocket clip makes a lot of sense. This knife, because it's so chunky and heavy, I probably won't ever carry it in my front pocket, so it doesn't matter if it has a deep carry clip or not, but I like this, the color of the clip, so I didn't change it. I usually use it in a vest pocket or something like that. And here compare it again to the Fox Raven. This doesn't even have a clip, which also makes sense because it's so big and heavy. It comes with a sheath instead. So yeah, deep carry pocket clips don't always make sense, so in this case it's okay. The only downside to this clip, I think, is not that it's not a deep carry clip, but this portion here. So if you grab it and squeeze it quite hard, you will get a hot spot in this area. So this would be here, around here in your hand. Otherwise, again, as I said, if you only want to use one knife for everyday carry, this is not the option I would choose. But if you have a lot of knives and want to try something different, I think this is quite a nice idea, and it stands out from all other knives that I have. It's quite a bit different, and this is why I chose it. Okay, that's it. Thanks all.